Hi, this is Dr. Mercola, and you know, life is a journey. Hopefully we're always continuing to expand and improve our understanding of how to get healthy. And it's certainly been true for me over the last 30 years. And I'm always learning. And today I've got some really exciting new information that challenges most likely your long-held beliefs about what it takes to get healthy and specifically what foods you're using. You know, many people spend 2 to 3 hours in the gym and they don't get the results that they're seeking to achieve because they're probably not doing the right types of exercises, but even more importantly, they're not selecting the right types of food to optimize their health and learning how to sequence that food with the exercise. You know, sequence is so important. In business and in sports, you can have the right tools, the right resources, but if you don't get the timing right, you really won't achieve the results you're seeking. So one of the keys is going to be sure that you're getting whole food nutrition. And the distinction I'd like to make here is that many people, specifically bodybuilders, will use amino acid supplements or certain types of protein powders to improve their muscle mass. And I want to warn you and caution you, in fact, this is a really pretty severe public health warning that I'm going to be talking about a little later, that you really want to focus on whole food nutrition. So if you use specific isolated amino acid supplements like leucine or branched-chain amino acids or glutamine, you will get results. I mean, bodybuilders do get results with these approaches, but they also get results using anabolic steroids, and I'm sure everyone is familiar with the consequences of using that approach. So for the best long-term approach, you really want to use the whole food because it's in nature, these amino acids are in the right balance. And it's very similar. You may be aware that aspartame is really 2 natural amino acids in an ester bond, but when they're taken in high concentrations, you upset the normal ratios of these amino acids and you cause loads of complications. So that is going to be a key, looking for whole food nutrition. So one of the exciting pieces of information that's been learned by researchers recently is that you can use a specific amino acid called leucine, which is a branched-chain amino acid, and it can be actually used to improve your muscle growth, and it facilitates the integration of protein into the muscle. It's a very powerful signal. So what is the best way to get this? Certainly from whole foods. So which foods have highest concentration of leucine? Well, far and away, the one that just leads by levels over any other food is whey protein. And whey protein, you may not realize, was actually a byproduct of cheese manufacturing. And initially, when it was first discovered, was discarded or given as pet food. But researchers realized it had very powerful immune-enhancing benefits and supports the immune system, but also improves muscle growth and function. Now remember, I said the timing is critical, and it is with this. What occurs is that about 2 hours after you exercise, there's this window, this critical window of opportunity where you can give and provide your muscle with the nutrients and the building blocks it needs to build and repair. So the key is to get that leucine in there in this window. Ideally, whey protein is a very fast absorbing protein, so it literally goes in within 10 or 15 minutes. So you don't really necessarily want to take the whey protein immediately after exercise. Typically, you want to wait 15 to 30 minutes for your muscles to recover and then provide it. Now, here is a revision of the process that I personally use and would like to share with you. I had previously incorporated raw eggs into my protein shake, and I think there's a phenomenal benefit of raw eggs. But what I've learned is that the raw eggs will actually tend to slow down the assimilation of that protein. So rather than 10 to 15 minutes to be absorbed, it can extend to 2 or 3 hours, and then you're going to miss that critical threshold. So I don't use the raw eggs with my protein shake anymore. So in addition to whey protein having this leucine and very powerful immune building capacity, it also has a specific type of amino acid called glutamyl-cysteine. You wonder, what is this all about? Well, the glutamyl-cysteine is actually a very important precursor for glutathione. And glutathione is an essential element for detoxification of your body. In fact, many people take glutathione supplements. It's also really important for anti-aging. So there's just no food that has as high a concentration of glutamyl-cysteine as whey protein. So you get double benefits, not only for the exercise muscle building capacity, but also for building your immune system and helping the anti-aging properties. So the question becomes, what type of whey protein are you going to use? Because there are some really inexpensive and cheap versions of whey protein. But let me just break the categories of whey protein into 2 primary types. One is whey protein isolates and whey protein concentrates. whole food concentrates. So let me warn you that you don't want to use the isolates. They should not be used by anyone. I strongly recommend and encourage, don't give the whey protein isolates to your worst enemy. You're probably wondering why I am so rigid about this. I'm so rigid and vigorous about my opposition to using these protein supplements because not that they don't work, they'll probably get you some benefit, but there's long-term damage that can result. And this is information that is new to me that I really want to share with you to help you understand the difference between whey protein isolates and whey protein concentrates. The primary one is that the isolates are going to have putrid protein. You know, the body does not like rancidity or oxidation, and certainly when no one wants oxidized fats. But putrid protein is even worse, and that's exactly what happens when you have whey protein isolates, and that doesn't happen in the concentrates. And another really important component, you'll understand this if you've ever taken organic chemistry, is the optical isomers. You know, we've got, in nature, there is a levo or a left form or a dextro or an L form. It's kind of like your hands. You know, you've got a right hand and a left hand. They look identical, but obviously they're different. They're mirror images of each other. And in nature, specifically with proteins, we have this same configuration. And the proteins are typically in an L form. And if they're in the D form, it's going to be the wrong form. Your body can't use it. It stores it up, and it just really causes significant damage. And that's exactly what happens when you have whey protein isolates. You get this massive increase in the D forms of the amino acids, and that's not what you want. That's not what you need, and it's going to cause long-term complications. So please avoid those. Now, the other problems with whey protein isolates is that they tend to be acid flash or acid process. This tends to remove the alkaline minerals, and alkaline minerals are really key, and that's why they're part of whole whey concentrates. In addition to that, many times they use surfactants to solubilize it, because when you have this whey protein isolate process, it actually makes it very difficult to be soluble in water. So they put dangerous surfactants like polysorbate 80 and soy lecithin in there that can really cause long-term problems and complications. And then there's other chemical additives frequently associated with MSG. And of course, the lower quality ones are going to use sweeteners like aspartame or sucralose, Splenda, NutraSweet. So these are clearly dangerous, and if you don't know why, certainly review that information on my site to understand that process, because artificial sweeteners should not be used by anyone. So clearly you want to stay away from the whey protein isolates for the reasons I mentioned. You know, they can be loaded with artificial sweeteners or even regular sweeteners like sugar. Lower quality ones we use sugar because it's cheap and it makes it taste much better. Then, of course, it doesn't have the alkaline minerals, and it has the damaged proteins, the rancid or the putrid proteins in there that are in the wrong optical isomerization. They're racemized, and you really want to avoid it for that reason alone, because that's probably the most important one. So how do you go about finding a high-quality whey protein concentrate? Well, first of all, listen to your body. Rely on your own senses to help you understand if it's a high-quality one. And let me give you some key characteristics. It should smell good. You shouldn't have to hold your nose to swallow it to get it down. I mean, it should smell decently. It should taste good. Big surprise. If it's not, then you have to be careful, especially if this has a sour aftertaste or an acid aftertaste, because that's going to be a reflection of the fact that it was acid processed and has damaged proteins. And then lastly, it needs to be water soluble, because the processing that occurs that can damage the proteins makes it water insoluble, so it should dissolve instantly. All you have to do is put a scoop in water. If it doesn't dissolve, stay away from it, because it's going to cause long-term complications. So what are some additional criteria that you can use to help you select the highest quality whey protein concentrate? You want to make sure also the type of sweetener they're using. Now, many of the protein concentrates, or a number of them, will be using artificial sweeteners, which of course you want to stay away from. You want to stay from regular sugars. You also want to stay away from cheap maltodextrin, because cheap maltodextrin is not digestive resistant like the one that is used in the ones that we put together. Because when you have digestive resistant maltodextrin, there's no enzymes your body has to break it down, so it doesn't raise your insulin. It actually serves as a fiber source, a prebiotic that will actually help facilitate the growth of your normal gut flora. So it's really an important component. And then lastly, you want to make sure that the company that's producing the whey protein has objective third-party laboratory documentation that's metal-free of any and all contaminants.